Any talk about a conspiracy or secret agenda being carried out by an organization of rich and powerful men is almost always countered with laughter by the average Joe who mindlessly follows the herd. Is it that hard to believe an organization of powerful men has made a pact with each other to secretly further their agendas? Is it that hard to design a self-perpetuating structure that would allow such an organization to continuously function regardless of who specifically occupies any one position at any given time? Is it far-fetched to think that these individuals would purchase and control the mainstream media and use this powerful tool to further their goals? One of the first reality shows ever created was called Survivor, which began airing in May of 2000. The show featured 16 people who were put on a secluded island and competed for $1 million as each week a contestant was voted off the show by their fellow castaways. As the show went on, several people on the island would secretly make an agreement to help each other out at the expense of others who were not part of their agreement. The outsiders had no idea such an agreement was made, and if and when ill will fell upon them, they didn't suspect anything other than bad luck. But unknown to them, they were a victim of a conspiracy. A victim of the workings of a secret society within the group of contestants. As future seasons of Survivor were aired, the secret alliances would become a common theme of the show to viewers who had an eagle eye of the workings of all who were on the island. Devious contestants always found such an idea a practical and effective way to get ahead. If the formation of a secret alliance among members on Survivor became a common method to gain advantage over others and to survive, is it that far-fetched to believe that similar secret alliances occur in business or politics? It seems that the idea to form a secret alliance exclusively for the benefit of those involved is a perfectly logical idea, and the best way to protect such an alliance and ensure its success is to prevent others who are not a part of it from becoming aware that such a thing even exists. We know for a fact that secret societies exist in politics, business, and religion. Many of these associations have existed for hundreds of years. The existence of such societies spawns speculation from outsiders, and sometimes paranoia. With little information to work from to formulate a reliable theory as to what these people are doing and what the consequences of their actions may be, it is often difficult to accurately understand the workings of a secret society or alliance. But just like the most careful criminal, secret societies often leave clues behind. No matter how many precautions one takes to prevent any knowledge of their actions, it is nearly impossible to execute a plot flawlessly and without leaving evidence behind. As with some murder cases, the evidence may not be understood immediately after the crime, or it may not even be noticed as evidence at all. As time passes, other clues from similar crimes may emerge and shed new light on things that were once overlooked. In regards to the Illuminati, clues have been discovered over the last several hundred years. Something is definitely being kept secret by some very rich and powerful individuals. A network, an agenda, a source of wealth and power, a reason for the secrecy, and more. In more modern times, starting in about the late 1970s, various people have come forward and claimed to be actual members of this elusive group and said they had defected and turned to Christianity. These men have told stories claiming to expose some of the history, beliefs, and goals of the Illuminati secret society. Some of their claims seem reasonable, others stretches of the imagination, and others obvious lies. Their testimony along with any inconsistencies will be addressed in this book. Also covered are compilations of countless pieces of evidence about the Illuminati, including original writings that were seized in 1786 from the home of one of the members. These writings are indeed authentic, and there is no scholar or historian who will refute that. The only refutations are as to whether or not the organization was able to carry on its work in the years following its original exposure to the public, over 200 years ago. When one reads the words of founder Adam Weishaupt, it seems impossible that the organization didn't continue to exist, and later thrive. It seems foolish to believe that their goals would simply be abandoned because its leadership was discovered. Had Adam Weishaupt not formulated and documented the plans for such an organization, surely it seems that another power-hungry diabolical man would have done the same. After all, if Thomas Edison had not invented the light bulb, surely you would not be reading these words by candlelight. Another man would have harnessed the power of electricity just as effectively. Such an invention was inevitable, and other men who had no connection with Edison were working towards the same goal. Cultures around the world throughout history that have had no contact with each other have made similar and often identical discoveries and innovations. Mankind's curiosities are similar around the world, just as our moral shortcomings are. The very concept of a secret alliance among men to further each other's goals at the expense of others and under a shroud of secrecy surely isn't a novel idea. Mafias and organized criminal enterprises have sprung up around the world and have similar structures and methods, yet few have been influenced by another. The idea of a secret group which has pledged allegiance to each other over all others should be as fundamental to our lives as falling in love. And just as this human condition of interpersonal relationships has become a classic theme in Hollywood movies, we should suspect that a similar basic theme would be found as well. And it is. A secretive group of bad guys who plot greed, harm, or destruction. While an array of classic Hollywood narratives continue to be produced, with many of them involving secret criminal alliances, it is interesting that a rare number of them will actually incorporate plots very similar to events in reality that are attributed to the workings of the Illuminati. Even more rare, the name Illuminati is actually used to describe the group that is behind the events in these films. After analyzing Illuminati themes, symbolism, and references in popular Hollywood movies, one can come to no other conclusion than the writers and producers of those very films have detailed knowledge of the Illuminati itself. While they are not producing a documentary film trying to expose the organization like the various ones that will be discussed in this book, one can't help but think that they are trying to get the point across to the audience in a similar way. After all, one can learn a lesson from reading the facts, or by hearing a story about such events in the form of a fable or allegory, much like Aesop's fables. Contain underlying moral messages that are conveyed through fictional stories. Some of the themes in these Hollywood movies include plotlines surrounding terrorism, mind control, Big Brother, secret societies, and occult mysticism and magic. While some uninformed skeptics believe that when someone talks about the Illuminati they got the idea from a Hollywood movie, the reverse is actually true, and many writers and producers have actually gotten their ideas from the historical and factual Illuminati. In October of 1963, a man named Joe Vallecchi testified before the McClellan Congressional Committee on Organized Crime, where he proceeded to tell the authorities about the inner workings of the Italian mafia and how far-reaching their organization was. He explained how they controlled an array of industries and had police and judges in their pockets from either threats or payoffs. When Vallecchi was first taken into custody and began telling police about the mafia, the story was too unbelievable for the authorities. They couldn't understand how a secret criminal enterprise could be so successful and operate without notice in so many sectors of society. Vallecchi was locked away in a mental hospital and was thought to be insane. Only later did authorities realize he was telling the truth, and as La Cosa Nostra was uncovered, the extent of their criminal empire began to be understood. The subject of the mafia continues to fascinate people, and if one didn't know their history, they may believe that well-known Hollywood movies such as Goodfellas and Casino are entirely fictional, but in fact are based on true stories, and the gangsters portrayed in these films did live lives of luxury and incredible influence. They were also ruthless killers. One can't help but notice the strange and deafening silence on certain issues by so-called experts in the mainstream media. How is it that year after year Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Alan Combs, Bill O'Reilly, and others ignore issues surrounding the Illuminati? Issues with tangible solid evidence that is undeniable. The annual Bilderberg meeting, for example, or the cremation of care ceremony at the Bohemian Grove, or true workings of the Federal Reserve Bank. Surely these are at least interesting enough stories for an occasional segment, yet for decades these so-called political experts and commentators mysteriously omit any mention of such issues and organizations from their shows. The answer is that most of these individuals know very well about these issues. Many of them are willing accomplices and participants